everyone, I'm MaryAnn. I'm a visual artist and voice coach from Singapore, currently in Singapore, and welcome to another installment of my weekly vlog series, Live Your Dream. So if you're someone who has a dream, you want to make it come true, you don't want to just live like a conventional life and just go through the motions of what people say life is, but you want to see what's out there for you, what is it that really resonates with you, what calls to you, what you can create as a meaningful and worthy purpose for yourself. Well, this is a vlog series where I share my journey going off the beaten, going off the beaten path into uncharted territory, taking the road less traveled, however you want to call it. For me, I personally like to call it, creating a worthy and meaningful purpose for myself and going after my dreams and making the best of this life that I have right now. And it's definitely not an easy journey. We like to think that, when I discover what my passion is and what my calling is and whatever it is I'm meant to do in this life, it's like things will just fall into place. And as much as I would love for that to happen, I mean, to some extent it kind of does, but only after you put in a lot of work and effort and trust into making things happen. It is definitely not an easy journey. And the fact is that whatever path you choose in life, whether it's something more conventional, where everyone says that life is supposed to be that way, meaning like day job, get married, have kids, settle down, retire, and then do what you love. Not that there's anything wrong with living that life if it is something that you want. But I think a lot of people kind of go through the motions of living that path because they think that that's what life is supposed to be. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with choosing that. There's no right or wrong answer here. Ultimately, it comes back down to what is it that you want for your life, because this is the one life that you have, at least that we know of, and you don't want to live it with regrets. Like, you want to make sure that by the time you get to the end of your life and you look back, you can be like, oh wow, that was my life and I totally lived it to the best that I could. And yeah, either path you take, whatever path you choose, it's going to come with its own challenges and difficulties. And ultimately, it's really just about us deciding which one is worthwhile and meaningful for us, which one is going to be worth all that trouble, basically. So if you have any questions about all this, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can also directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. So we're in July now of 2021, and it's insane that another half of a year has just flown right by. And I think maybe during this time of, being in pandemic and maybe not having as much of the freedoms that we used to have before COVID-19 happened, it might start to feel like, every single day just kind of goes by more or less the same, one day at a time. Nothing much really seems to happen, nothing much really changes, and for some reason, at least in Singapore, a lot of people are talking about, when can we go and travel again? Because they miss getting out of the country and going somewhere for a few days vacation and seeing something other than, the regular routine that they have. And I think it's a very natural human thing that, at some point, we want to get out of our routine and we want to see something more exciting happening in our lives, or like maybe that time that you are looking forward to on your vacation is like, at the end of your an entire year, and you're like clearing your leave from work, and that's where most people would go on vacation, right? Or they would just specially take leave and go on vacation. And that becomes almost like the highlight that we look forward to in our lives. Or in, if you have like a conventional day job, the weekend is usually what you would look forward to in your life. But then, we don't really consider that, like, for those most of the days in a week, right? You're 5 days a week when you're at your day job. All those months that you spend working every single day, 5 days a week, rest on the weekend, 5 days a week, rest on the weekend, so that you can go and enjoy that vacation at the end of it all. It's like, most of our lives actually happens in those 5 days of the week, like at your day job, whatever job that you do, right? Like for most of us, 5 days a week, that's kind of the norm. And if we're constantly looking forward to something that is, like a vacation, like a weekend, not that there's anything wrong with looking forward to stuff, because, we all need to have some hope in our lives to get us through the darkest and the most mundane and the most boring of days. But I just want you to consider that, our lives is really not just the weekends, and it's not just the vacations that we look forward to. It's happening right here and right now. And if we're not paying attention to that, it's like, it just goes by so quickly. Like, I remember when I was a kid, it always felt like the days took forever to pass. It's like you go to school Monday morning and it's like, oh my gosh, like this day just doesn't seem to end, and then you're like waiting for the bell to ring for that really boring class to end, or you're waiting for like recess to happen, and then finally Monday goes by, and then it's only Tuesday, and then the same thing again, and then finally it's Friday, and it's like, yay, the tomorrow I can sleep in or whatever, and then maybe I go out with my family, or I have like other events and activities going on, and then next thing you know, it's like Sunday, and oh man, tomorrow is Monday again, and then I repeat that process of like dreading going back to school, and then going back to school on Monday, and then going through that whole week again, and it always feels like every single day takes forever. Yeah, and most of my life, I've never been one to settle for like the daily, like a daily routine kind of thing. But I've found that, as I get older, like having some sort of daily routine is kind of necessary to maintain a certain momentum in life, and to make sure that things get going, and we are very disciplined to make sure that our life has some structure in it, because otherwise what are we doing, right? Like, you still need to have some sense of structure there. And so recently I started to have a bit more of that, especially because with COVID-19, not being able to travel to continue my mural series for almost 2 years now, I've started to develop this sense of routine in my life. And next thing I know, it's like, and especially too with recording these weekly vlogs, I need to have some sort of structure to ensure that I keep that up. And I've been keeping that going for like pretty much since February this year. So it's about almost 6 months now that I've been doing these vlog series. And so it has just been like 1 week after another, 1 week after another, and then next thing I know, it's like, oh my gosh, half the year has gone by. And I don't know if you have the same sense as me, but like, being now in my late 30s, so I'm 38 now, it just feels like the whole, my whole 30s so far, it's like, what happened? Like, I don't remember. I remember parts of it, of course, but it just feels like it just went by so quickly, and I don't even know how did I even get here, right now at 38, when I can still very clearly remember doing my first solo exhibition when I was 30, and that feels like it was just yesterday, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm here now, and that was like 8 years ago, and like, what? Yeah. so I guess what I'm saying is that, our life goes by so quickly, and if we're not paying attention to the moments that matter in our lives, and if we're not creating those moments for ourselves, if we're not really paying attention to what's really happening to us right now, like, yeah, I know sometimes we go to our day jobs and it's just like, why am I here? Or we go to school and it's like, oh, it's so boring, because let's face it, right? Most teachers are not that interesting when they teach. And it just feels like we're just looking forward to the next moment that we can look forward to. But what if instead of looking forward to that next, exciting moment, or what we think is going to be an exciting moment, we pay attention to what's happening to us right now. We pay attention to what are the moments that we can create that is meaningful for us in our lives. That, maybe like it's really boring to be in your day job, but is there a way that you can challenge yourself even in your day job to do something better, to, improve something in the workplace, to improve your relationships with your coworkers, maybe to, improve your system of working so that, 8 hours a day at your job, you finish everything within like 5 hours, but of course you don't tell your boss, because otherwise they might give you more things, unless you want more responsibilities, of course. But yeah, how can we maximize our efficiencies? How can we maximize the structures that we create? How can we improve on the things in our lives? And this is something that is, a constant thing that we got to look at in our day-to-day moments. It's like if you're telling yourself, one day when I have more time, then I will do this thing that I'm really passionate about, or then I will start losing weight or whatever it is, then it's never going to happen. Because right here, right now, we actually have all these little pockets of time that we can make the most of. If we're not paying attention to that, if our mind is constantly thinking about, when would the next break come, when would our next vacation come, when is the weekend going to be here, then we're not actually being present to what's happening in the day to day. Even if we don't like the way things are going in our lives, there's still so much that we can do with the 24 hours that we're given every single day. And now that we're at this point where 6 months of the year has gone by, we still have 6 more months left coming up, and we still don't know yet whether the traveling is going to be something that would be part of our lives again. I mean, I know a lot of countries are starting to open their borders or planning that they would open soon, but we really don't know if that is really going to happen. And rather than looking forward to that happening, what is it that you can focus on right now to develop yourself in some way? What is it that you can focus on now such that by the time things kind of start to go back to normal and the world kind of picks up pace again, you wouldn't have fallen behind? Like, what's a skill that you can learn during this time? What is something that you want to improve in your life every single day right here, right now? And it doesn't even need to be anything big, because I can tell you, just by doing a little small change every single day, even something as simple as meditating for 10 minutes a day, if that's your jam, could change a lot of things in your life too, and the way you perceive things, and maybe keeps you more grounded and more present as well. Who knows? So yeah, whatever it is that you want to implement in your life, find ways to do it starting now. Find ways to improve. Look at your life as it is right now, because right here, right now, our lives are happening, and it's not until you get your next vacation or until the next weekend. It's in the day-to-day, every single moment that we go through. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can also directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos, and I'll see you next week.